I was kicked out of school when I was 17, which came as quite a shock. So instead of sort of going to university and learning about life and all that kind of stuff, I was thrust into the marketplace, and I happened to bump into a lady called Mary Quant. And Mary, this was the 60s in London, she invented the miniskirt and she invented tights and so on. She was an iconic fashion creative designer. And at that time, I'd been studying French and Spanish at A-level and Latin, which was very useful, I must say, in today's world. And she said, hey, we're trying to expand into Europe, and we want young people, and it's a young people's business, and what do you think? And I went, wow, yeah, that sounds great. So I worked for this iconic woman and built this great brand, Mary Quant, or helped to build it, and I've never looked back, really. It was so much fun. So I worked for Mary. She's still a really close friend. My first 3 bosses were all women. And so sort of if you look at the world today, you know, it's a world that has moved into connectivity and collaboration and emotion and soft stuff. And it's a world fueled by ideas and creativity. And so I just sort of wandered into that at the age of 18 and have never looked back, really. Very Darwinian, of course. The first one's survival, right? So I come from a working class background in the northwest of England. You know, my father was a security guard in a mental hospital, which is actually quite similar to my current job. It has a lot of things in common with running an advertising agency. And my mum worked in a shop, you know, and in those days I lived in a council house, and you know, I never had my own bedroom and stuff like that. And that was pretty typical of, you know, the generation that, you know, was, you know, baby boomers that were born after the war. And I went to this fantastic school, which was boys only, very strong sporting school, a grammar school in the English system, terrific rugby and cricket, great academic standards. You know, we get 20 people to Oxbridge every year. And I learned there really about the value of learning, right? So, and I learned about the value of working hard. I learned about, it's a very purpose-driven school, the motto of the school is Praesis ut prosis, lead that you might serve, okay? And I was very lucky to go into a school where leadership was important, but leadership for the common good, leadership for the community, leadership for the betterment of society, really. Well, I'm at my best when I'm in a team, as long as I'm the captain. And I don't even have to be made captain. I simply assume captaincy. When I was 7, I was captaining teams of 11-year-olds, which is quite a significant gap, right? Because you're not going to be the best player, are you? You're not going to be the biggest, but you're probably going to be the mouthiest. So I've always really loved, I'm an eldest boy, so I think the eldest of the family tends to have the opportunity to lead and pave the way. And I lived in an environment I didn't like very much, you know. I mean, I've been poor, and now I'm rich, and being rich is better. And I figured that out at a very early age, and so I wanted to get out of that. I kind of like accountability and leading and stuff. To be a great creative leader, you've got to listen, you've got to have empathy. You know, command and control doesn't work as a leadership model in today's society. Perhaps it works in the military, but even then, the best armies win on the ground because people are taking on-the-spot decisions in the team, right? And getting supported by headquarters. So I think leadership now is about empathy, it's about listening, it's about being creative, it's about creating a culture around you of accountability. So I think what I've tried to become as I've become older is an inspirational leader rather than a servant leader or rather than a command and control leader. Try and inspire those around you to be the best they can be. And after all, if you work at Saatchi, which is a creative organization full of creative people, you cannot get eagles to fly in formation. So you have to inspire them to head in the same direction at least. Balance. What a terrible way to run your life in a balanced way. You should avoid moderation at all costs, man. Nothing succeeds like excess. Oprah Winfrey, that great philosopher, said once, you've got to live your best life every day. That's not balanced. So you want to be your best at work, you want to be the best dad, the best friend, the best athlete, the best mate, all the time. So you've got to work on, I like work-life integration, not balance. I want to be the best at everything, all the time. So how do you do that? By stopping doing a lot of stuff you shouldn't be doing. Because you spend 40% of your day doing rubbish. Just terrible stuff.